So, if you haven't known, the K-pop industry is really just a toxic place. I think that the fandoms are even more toxic to begin with, supporting it and doing things unimaginable and worse. I found this thread that really got me thinking about hate that certain idols receive and how some of them get so much compared to other idols, even if they don't do much more different things, or they aren't really doing anything extremely bad, like idols who are actual criminals who have actually committed crimes harming other people and everything. Well, there are some idols who are hated on because of their personality or because they just want what's right, which is really in the industry. The marketing is trying to make an idol so perfect that they have no flaws at all. And in reality, that's just not true. These idols are going to think differently than us, act differently, and not be the perfect picture that they've been painted as they have been in like a concept photo or like an interview or something like that. For example, I want to say that because NewJeans actually spoke out against mistreatment and didn't want money, they didn't want fame or anything like that. They just wanted more protection rights for artists, and they were blaming a lot of this on Hybe. People started to hate them, and people started to turn on them completely when they got the chance, because just because they wanted more rights and more acknowledgement from their own company. Like, they were just asking for more humanity, which is kind of crazy how there's been 70,000 articles written about NewJeans, the like 99% of them being against them and calling them kind of delusional. And let's just remember that these girls, most of them are in their super early 20s, and one of them was a minor. I don't know if she's a minor yet, but I'm not a big NewJeans fan. And it's kind of crazy to think about how in the last 2 years of this happening, there's been 70,000 articles written on this, most of them being in defense of Hybe, which is kind of insane, because if you really, Hybe is one of the biggest companies, has one of the largest amount of revenue and money, and somehow we're still finding ways to completely defend the company, which is kind of crazy. And despite the company's idols coming out describing their mistreatment like NewJeans did, and then other idols from other groups like Unhypen and TXT also doing the same, but them being praised for it, but NewJeans not being praised because NewJeans actually called out the company instead of just mentioning their mistreatment. Like, Hybe has abused their trainees. That is what TXT and Hypen members have even said, that they were hit if they did something wrong. So it's kind of crazy that people will just turn on these idols. I saw this thread and I really wanted to talk about it because it's really true. Hating does rewire your brain. So this person, I'm going to read the thread basically and kind of give my own perspective about it at the end. I just think that this is something so important to say that it needs to be said. Anyways, I will link the thread in the description. So first off, how hating a group literally rewires the settings of your brain, using NewJeans as an example. First off, you know that feeling when you hate a group so much that you start defending toxic behavior simply because it's directed at them? If yes, your internal settings have been reset, and there might be no turning back. Let me explain how this works using the example of the hate towards NewJeans. Number 1, our values and principles. In any healthy fandom, and just for any decent person, there is a basic set of unwritten rules. Respect artists, condemning bullying, rejecting trashy behavior, protecting the mental health of idols. Number 2, the appearance of the enemy. Let's say a situation arises, a conflict with Minheejin or Hybe, plagiarism accusations, media play, twisting the members' images, or just personal dislike. The group NewJeans starts to be perceived not just as another group, but as a threat to your favorite artist, or as the embodiment of evil. This is when the us versus them mechanism kicks in. Number 3, first step towards degradation. They deserve it. Once a group is dehumanized, turned into an abstract evil, the old rules no longer apply to them. The thought process becomes, I'm usually against insults, but these hypocrites deserve to be put in their place. In the case of NewJeans, people start searching for flaws in their visuals, singing, or behavior. When once condemned, discussing bodies' voices now becomes normal behavior because it's done for justice or to protect my faves. It's important to understand that no one is actually protecting their faves this way. They are simply releasing their anger and feeding their own ego. 4. Normalizing the absurd. It's not trash, it's exposure. This is where the concept gets twisted. Fans who used to cry over a single hate comment towards their own idol now start creating toxic content themselves. Downvotes and report spamming. If this was once considered troll weaponry, now it's a tool to defend the truth. Making fun of appearances. This used to be malicious hate, and now it's objective criticism. Spreading rumors. It used to be, don't believe gossip. Now it's, where's the smoke? Where there's smoke, there's fire. The community effect. Everyone does it. Number 1. In a thread or chat where everyone hates NewJeans, an echo chamber is created. If one person writes harsh criticism, a second supports it, and a third amplifies it. Gradually, the bar for what's accepted shifts. What seems like too much yesterday is normal today because all my people are liking and reposting it. The conclusion, we are the good guys because we are fighting evil. The scariest part of this mechanism is the complete loss of self-reflection. A person who writes dozens of angry posts, insults 14-year-old NewJeans fans, and revels in the group's misfortune genuinely believes that they are fighting for justice. Their values aren't broken. They've just mutated under the influence of hate. Hate becomes the filter through which any immoral act seems righteous. Hate is an acid that erodes your internal boundaries. This is exactly why Kpop fans call each other hypocrites. None of them can stick to their own logic and values when it comes to another artist or fandom. If you recognize yourself in this but want to stop, just calm down. The best advice I can give you is to focus on your own life. You have problems you're avoiding, scars you're refusing to heal, relationships you're scared to mend. This avoidance of responsibility for your own life makes you dependent on somebody else's. A special note for girls. We often forget that our bodies are not a bottomless resource. When you are boiling with hate towards NewJeans or anyone else, proving your point until 3 a.m., your body thinks you are in danger. 1. Cortisol. The stress hormone is released. In ancient times, it helped you run from a tiger. Now you're sitting still, but the tiger in your head is as real as it gets. 2. Your brain doesn't understand that this is just Kpop wars. To your nervous system, there's no difference between a real threat and a virtual one. The signal is the same: fight, flight, or freeze. 3. Chronic cortisol release starts destroying you from the inside. Your hormones get disrupted, cycle, skin, weight. Your sleep suffers, and anxiety appears. When you create an illusion of danger in your head because of fanaticism, you trigger a self-destruction mechanism. Your body is just trying to protect you from a threat, but the threat isn't real. The consequences, however, are very real. You think that you're hating them, but in reality, you are hating yourself. You're destroying yourself with your own hands. This isn't about I hate the group. This is about you not loving yourself at all. Do you recognize this feeling? Then just stop. You need to take responsibility for your life. Not for the likes on your post, not for the fandom's reputation, not for winning a fan war, but for your own body, which is being torn apart by cortisol right now. For your hormones, for your face in the mirror in the morning, your life is slowly being destroyed. And only when it goes too far, when your hormonal issues become chronic, when anxiety becomes your second nature, when you lose sleep and appetite, will you look at yourself in the mirror and cry. And you will realize one terrifying thing: you don't want to live like this anymore. Because all this anger, this euphoria from ruining an argument, this illusion of joy when the enemy is struggling, it's all an illusion and it will pass. It will disappear the moment you close the apps. Your life is the only thing that's real. So yeah, that's a very important thing. I feel like this thread really hits home to a lot of people. And I feel like a lot of K-pop fans, or most of them actually, all of you, have to see this thread because it's genuinely so important that sometimes hate gets to a level of obsession and cruelty and dehumanization of these people that it becomes just like everything in your life. So I also want to use that. NewJeans literally didn't do anything to hurt anybody else, and all they did was ask for their rights, and then HYBE decided to blow it up and make it a much bigger problem and a much bigger thing and target it all towards NewJeans. This tag PR, a hate that's been created just because of HYBE, the company, to hate on other artists like aespa, 17, Stray Kids, all your favorite artists, NewJeans, IVE. Like this is all created just to hate and spread hate towards those artists because they want those artists gone. And when I say gone, they want them to die because that's what tag PR is supposed to do. They won't tell you this, but deep down, that's literally what it's supposed to do. Tag PR is supposed to put an artist into a corner that they can't get out of. And when the general public of this fan base or whatever starts seeing this like domino effect where, look, this post has so many likes, it must be valid. They must be the enemy, like the thread said. Suddenly, there's 10 times more hate as well because they're following these accounts. And that becomes something where the artist is in a corner. It really gets that bad. It really can get that bad. It's a possibility that can happen. It's like, it's happened before. And it's kind of insane when I see these fan wars. And it's on the most stupid things ever. Like Chan's bubble messages. He said he decided to write Aegyo in both Korean and English. Because if you didn't know, Chan basically translates his Korean messages in English on Bubble. And Bubble is a messaging app where you can send messages directly to the artist, but you can't really see anybody else there talking, or like he can't really see who you are and whatever. It's like a complicated thing. But because he decided to write an Aegyo, which basically 90% of the other idols do as well, and even Stray Kids members, there are a few Stray Kids members who regularly write in Aegyo, but do it in Korean, yet still don't get hated in it because it's in Korean. And I think this also stems from some kind of like xenophobia and just overall racism because he's doing it in English and he doesn't really have to translate these things in English. But the hate that he got is so insane, and the hate that he just continues to get. This week was Fashion Week, and I remember that seeing him protect Yeonjun, I think, from Le Sserafim, and because like her bodyguard should be protecting her, you know, like his bodyguard should be protecting him, but like no bodyguards in sight or anything, and this paparazzi is like swarming them. There's so many people, and they could be like trampled, and instead of protecting himself, he decides to protect Yeonjun from Le Sserafim in front of him, trying to block off the people from touching her and everything. And then people on the internet decided that wasn't enough and said that he was being performative. He's putting himself at risk to protect Yeonjun from Le Sserafim, and people are still considering it performative. And this is where this hate gets so bad, because Karina from aespa, there's been a lot of things that aespa has gotten flack for, and just hate in general, and it's really insane to me because most of these things are just conceptual. Most of these things didn't actually happen. Most of the things are just theories that aren't real. But what is real is the actual impact on these girls' careers when there's multiple places and people with hundreds and thousands of likes, millions of views trying to defame them and trying to back them into this corner too. So it's the reality. There's a difference between online and reality. And when your online hate and stuff is starting to affect somebody else's reality, you really miss the point of everything. People like to disguise hate as criticism, but there's a difference, a big difference between hate and criticism. Criticism is usually smart, intellectual, and comes from a place of actual care, while hate is just there to drive this artist into a corner and to destroy the artist. And this is not criticism. Why would you give critiques on somebody's bubble messages that are literally because he speaks Aegyo? Why would that be the topic of the week? Is just hating on Chan because he speaks in Aegyo on Bubble. Why would the topic of the week be Karina, like saying something that I guess angered people or something? Or why would it be Wonyoung doing Aegyo? Why would it be that? See, it's kind of stupid. Why would that be the problem? Anyways, that's all I really have to say. I hope this hits you on some kind of level if you're hating on a K-pop group, and even if you're not, and if you're engaging in fan wars. I think everybody should reflect a bit. Okay, thank you. Bye.